In Regretting You, Morgan and their daughter Claire must explore what's left behind after a tragic accident reveals some dark family secrets that makes them rediscover what their love is all about. Hello and welcome Cinema, where we focus on the film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Regretting You. Was it good, was it bad, or somewhere right in the middle? Or if you're waiting for this review to decide if you're going to see it or not, and taking it right in positive, Regretting You is pretty much following about a relatively realistic approach to what we're dealing with, different themes and trauma, dealing with the lifestyles and toxicity of some relationships that are going on with their ideals. And there's certain things on the flip side of this that I'll go over later, but the generalities to this film produces some good ideas, some good production, and it's another film coming from the book of Colleen Hoover, who has done It Ends With Us last year, that really brings about something that's really cheesy for the rom-com community, something that builds upon romance dramas just as well, that really dives deep into the emotions. It will be a touchy-feely movie for some, it will be cheesy at moments, and there's some moments, of course, you have to stretch your imagination to the realism that's going about with this film, but we're bringing about a pretty good cast: Allison Brown, McKenna Grace, Scott Eastwood, etc., and the way you're tracking along with those different relationships to different couples that sort of meet, and the husband and wife of the opposite couple sort of had a love interest together from their young teens. But following about that, there are some interesting things that come about from a tragic accident that happens between a circumstance within the story that I won't spoil for the purposes of this review. But you're dealing with certain things: a child of one couple, and Clara is a grown-up child of another, that really manages to complicate the relationship of some circumstances you're coming about. This mother that wants to protect things from her daughter, but becomes overprotective in the family secrets she's hiding up, and doing certain circumstances that are flowing about along the way, that because of all of those different things, there's a sense of realism to the ideas of the approach, even if it's not always fully accurate in the way it all comes about. Even though it can come about in a strange way, there is a great circumstance to study from this: the psychology behind these toxic relationships, what the mother is doing to protect the daughter, which can cause some further harm, and what the daughter is ultimately uncovering from it. And the way we're dealing with this boyfriend for the daughter just as well creates this extra layer of romance that comes about along the way. The chemistry is pretty great, especially coming from McKenna Grace and Mason Thames as the young couple. What you're tracking along creates a great environment. It is just the right setting I came in to expect, just coming in from the director of Fault in Our Stars, as well as from the book of Colleen Hoover, that just brings about something that's very compelling, very much something that begins to be my type of film, where it's quite grounded within what it's doing, even if it becomes a little cheesy with what it does with its lines, even if it creates all these gaps in ways you have to stretch your imagination in order to make it work. But ultimately, the overall circumstance that you're diving into creates something that I was quite compelled by: how well some things were captured by the trauma and ideas they're tackling with the parent to child overprotection that it's ultimately coming to work with. And taking it into a mix on, like I mentioned, there's certain things you'll have to stretch your suspense of disbelief in how certain things come about, things that will work for some more than it will for others. If you're going in for a cheesy romance drama, then it will certainly lend itself favors toward you. But if you are very particular about what you're getting out of romance dramas, or even on the rom-com side of things, while this is more of a romance drama, this deals with toxic relationships that's not always going to be the most compelling. It's going to create some sour notes at certain times, cause you to dislike certain pairings of people or the choices made from the writing. I haven't read the book myself to know how well this is adapted, what small or minor changes may have been made for the purpose of this movie, but if you take this all as a generality that maybe this is adapted for the main values that it's producing, then there is certain things that will tick off some people, or people that are big fans of the book may be able to enjoy this quite all the same more because of what they are used to, because of the characters they grew into when reading the book, that otherwise us experiencing it on film only maybe missing some details, maybe missing more of the romance, more of the time spent with the characters in order to digest what these relationships mean, what the motivations may have been more present within the book versus the film, but otherwise there is a good capture to what you may like about this film or dislike about this film depending on the type of genre you are looking to receive out of it. And taking it into the negatives, while there is a general case where I did enjoy the sense of realism when taking on the trauma, when dealing with relationships. Now, I'm not any sort of relationship expert, so there could be some inconsistencies even with what I reference. There's just an overall circumstance with the stories where it's so far stretched in some circumstances that feels very weird, such as the daughter Clara, that she loses someone in her life and she almost immediately turns to a relationship that she was going to possibly get into before that happened, and going into what the mother has, she also goes into a new relationship not too long after something happens with a family member, and dealing with that just creates this weird sort of aura, this weird sort of toxic vibe to the whole environment. Yes, you are expected to move on at some certain point, but because you aren't really familiar with what this timeline is actually looking like, within the film itself, it looks like a span of 2 to 4 weeks, maybe. And within what would have been real realistic is dwelling a lot longer on the thoughts and feelings of the loss of someone and having to move on with your life, having to deal with all these struggles, all these emotions, and the sense that you lead into that, while it can sometimes happen because a boy or girl may be rash to get into a relationship quickly to lend their problems onto someone else, the way that's portrayed becomes sort of ultimately unrealistic in the way it's trying to struggle with that, in the way that there's not enough room for them to deal with their emotions when you ultimately otherwise see scenes where they act out with their emotions. They're very emotional, but then on the flip side of things, they're trying to delve into a new relationship, get over what has been so tragically happening in their life, which creates this flip side of things that, while one side I really love and appreciate what they're trying to cover by the general showcase that is being done, the circumstances of the story speak otherwise to the sense of realism that otherwise shouldn't be happening because of the way they kick off what these emotions should ride into, which creates just a weird mix of things that are great and I appreciate, and I lean more into this side, but on the other side, it's just something that I think about it more and it doesn't make sense. And some people may fall into that camp with the way that it feels like a weird way of dealing with these odd quirks, dealing with certain things where they egg a gift that the wife gave her husband that goes about in such a weird sort of circumstance and makes me questioning what they're even doing, whether it's even part of the book or not. It's still a really weird choice to have parts here and there that throws off the tempo of what you're dealing with, and maybe that's because it's just hard to put yourself into that exact mindset, but that exact mindset is such a weird circumstance for the story to work with because they're trying to get into a relationship that shouldn't be really happening soon after something tragic has happened in their life that there haven't been much enough time, unless the story's not showing all of it, to really dive into those forms of emotional responses. So that's just my personal thoughts on Regretting You, which I have to rate a simply 6.5 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Regretting You. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Or is it somewhere right in the middle? Are you feeling the same where it's very mixed bag, or just something where you love it, having read the book yourself, or very much despise it? Make sure to like this video if you enjoy it, subscribe if you haven't already to join in film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. So that's just all, and make sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.